And what is our solution, or our, let's say, defense mechanism? We have to disengage the nanoparticles in our body. We have to reduce the amount of nanoparticles in our body, what we are putting in our body. We have to take it out. We have to repair the damages that have happened from the nanoparticles in our body. And of course, we have to reduce the exposure to sources that they are activating them.
Okay, so welcome everybody. This is Visionary Life Hacks, here to connect, here to inspire, here to be the change, aka Zeech Tech Iron. And today I'd like to welcome my friend Yannis Zarakis, a diploma holder in electronic engineering, brings 34 years of medical device expertise from field service engineer to global sales director in 96 countries. As the founder of Solutions for Mankind LLC, he has significantly advanced the Antinano protocol engineering, refined electromagnetic devices with user-adjustable parameters and customized configurations for diverse individual needs. So welcome, Yannis.
Thank you very much, Zeech.
Yeah.
Nice to be here with you.
Yeah, great to have you here. This has been long overdue, and I'm really happy for you to be here today. I'm really excited about the future of these communications, and today we're going to be discussing what I just shared about his 34 years experience and how Yannis has actually been involved with Tony Pantalleresco and Brian 396 from the early years. So he's not somebody that just popped up during the boogeyman years. He's somebody like OG, and he had this experience, which he's going to share with us now, about when he was about to, because a lot of us have been duped with things like C60, zeolites, myself, as a father, and we're all out there wanting to find the right supplementation, the right technology. This has been my journey, finding the right technology, getting the food right, getting the natural medicines right. And Yannis, who I often call a Roy, because that's some of his early kind of names or whatever in the internet. And he's been validated by Tony as a credible source. He's helped me over the years learn to develop my anti-nano triangle. But today, we're going to be sharing about where he's come from 2014, 2016 to today and why it matters. And we're going to be discussing, and he's very positive with his outlook. Yeah, for sure. They're geoengineering or contrails, whatever you want to call it. But here on this channel, we're very much focused on solutions for mankind. And ignorance is not bliss. So we're aware of the challenges that we exist, existential challenges that we all exist. But today we're going to be focusing on tangible solutions that we can all do. So on that note, welcome, Yannis. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Very nice introduction. Yes, as you said, all of us in our journey and effort to try to improve our situations, extend our well-being, etc., we have heard and we have seen things that they were sound so good, and even excited that was the Holy Grail, and it was hidden, and suddenly we're feeling proud we discovered it compared to the other persons. And actually, it was a big trap. As you said, I started the journey where I am today. It started sometimes in 11, 12 years ago, and I have been sold to the idea, but thanks God I have not tried it, I did not invest money, although I had received one free sample with the C60, and that what was sold as it's the solution for everything and the hidden secret. And at the same time, I came across with Tony Pantalleresco, where he was start talking about C60, but completely the opposite. He was start talking about the dangers of nanoparticles, the toxicity of nanoparticles, which no one else in my environment, in my knowledge, in my, let's say, where I was usually going and searching, had ever talked. And it was contradicting completely what I had believed for a short moment that it was really the solution. But I pay attention. And I start investigating, listening what he said, and evaluating. Okay, I did not went blindly as I went with a C60, but I said, okay, let's follow what as well is all of us were encouraged to do, and investigate the sources, investigate the validity of what he said. And actually, what he said, it was correct. And that was, let's say, the moment where I decided, okay, I will pay more attention to what Tony is saying about nanotechnology. He had great, still his remedies for different things that are great. Some of them that are still applicable, some that are not that much applicable, not because they were bad, but because everything, the environment has changed, and as we have changed, we have been so much contaminated with nano, with some of the things that they are working normally, they are not working today. The only difference is between then and now, it's that what has been between, and it's the increased load of nanoparticles inside our body and the environment. So yes, I start following him. I start as well, I had a couple of interviews with him, and I have published in my channel, Aroy Mac, the early channel, as you said. And then I start making my own devices, following his prototype. And when I, certain moment, because of my background, electronic engineering background, I said, okay, let me improve. And I have the working theory that potentially, hold on a second, again, they are calling. That potentially, if we not just having the pulses, the device is pulsing, but if we change the frequency of the devices, potentially we can have something. Are you there?
Oh, yes, sorry. My son just came in. Sorry, I'll just mute myself while you're speaking.
Yeah, no problem. Simply, it disappear the screen. Let me find you again. Here we are. Because I received a call in the computer this time, and it messed up. Sorry for that. Potentially we can edit this part. Anyway, so I started building my device. I designed a device that it's not based only on the flasher relay, which is the automatic switch of the Antinano device that Tony has shown, but as well we can change the frequency and the duration of the pulse. And that was the theory or my idea that potentially different nanoparticles, different materials, they can react differently in different frequencies. Of course, the frequencies is not huge frequencies. We are talking about 1 to 27, 30 hertz, which is why I chosen these frequencies, because these frequencies, our body is compatible. The Earth resonates in this range of frequencies. So our body is compatible with that. And indeed, with the usage all these years, since let's say now 10, 12 years since I had this specific model, and other users that are using this, we saw that indeed in lower frequencies, 1 to 4, we see different things coming out in the bathtub when we're doing the detox bath, and in higher frequencies, up to 27, we see different things coming up. So I started developing this product. I showed it in the channel, in my YouTube channel, just showing that what I have built, not to sell, nothing, just sharing the information. And suddenly it was interesting from people to say, okay, can you build this one for me? Can you build this one for me? Can you build this one for me? So I start, let's say, building devices, the next level, improved from the prototype that Tony had. So, of course, I had discussed it with Tony, and of course he was saying, of course, if there's something that we can improve it, let's improve it. And he was happy that people, they start getting they taking what he has done and make it even better to help mankind. And okay, all through these 12 years, it was not only product but as well research to understand better this the toxicity of nanoparticles and how we can what countermeasures we have against them. And thanks God we have some measures. It's not easy solution, it's not fast solution, it takes time, but we are not hopeless.
Yes, yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for this. And so obviously, like, what's good about Tony is he shares like very simple, basic, salt solutions, acid solutions, very, very simple, isn't it? Like, what he's sharing is simple. So you're saying that some of those things have now changed. Now, that's one thing, right? Things have changed. For example, when he was talking to Gwen Scott, and I listened to some of her early stuff. And if people haven't listened to the interview with Bye Bye Blue Sky, I'll put a link down below so people can do a bit more research into the early days where Brian 396 and Tony were coming together from talking to Gwen Scott, because originally Tony thought he had Lyme's disease. And then I think what he learned then was actually it wasn't, it was synthetic biology. Now, what Yannis is saying is because he's been in this field, that they've been able to. So I suppose one question will be, because this is obviously, there's a lot of misunderstanding, isn't there? There's like people talking about, so here we've got nano-engineered nanoparticles. It's very clever what they've done because we can't see it. So what can people do if they want to do their own, well, maybe you could share some of your story about what you did, from hearing that C60 was good. Touch wood, I never ever took it. I was like, yeah, I get the whole Buckminster Fuller. I get the whole structures of, like these domes. But why would I want to? And then I actually seen Tony's little piece of literature saying that it was deemed an asbestos. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, it's natural. That seems to be a common theory, doesn't it? People go, well, it's natural. And I'll go like, well, yeah, arsenic's natural, isn't it?
Exactly.
But there's a lot of stuff today. Seems like I've got friends that are much older, Yannis, and because they're older, they're wiser in a lot of ways. But if I go to them, because they're like these followers of Cliff High, and I might say to them, I think maybe we need to relook at ormas, and maybe we need to relook at urine therapy. Maybe we need to relook at liver, that we've all thought that organ meats were good for us. So there's a lot of deception now, and it's I don't think, I think genuinely maybe Ormus might have had a place. C60, my brain just doesn't get it. I kind of, even things like shungite, I could see people putting shungite in the water. So there's a lot of these now, these new novel things like your methylene blues. Zeolite, I could kind of relate to it a bit. But then I was like, then I started seeing they were bringing out nano-engineered zeolite, and, and even like Tony and that, when they were talking to Gwen Scott, she was very much from that generation where people were taught that a lot of these clays, like your bentonite clay, diatomaceous earth, was possibly good for us. But now a lot of these things have come to light, and I think maybe what would be good to discuss is like, we've heard that things like going alkaline is good, but now maybe, and a lot of these devices that people are talking about, like your PEMF devices, a lot of people say PEMF is good, but then now we're looking at, like, the question is yes, maybe on a micro level, it could be good for a specific something, but now would you say it's important for us to, like, how important is it for us to zoom out and look at the bigger picture? And, could I be right in saying that now maybe some of these things, they either excite the nano or they like, because I've looked at some of the literature and people will be saying, well, terahertz wand is healing me, or they might even say that some of these, what I've learned, that a lot of these Rife machines are fake Rife machines, but maybe one we could look at is the Zapper. A lot of people say the Zapper from Holder Clark is good. Well, maybe, why was it good and why is it now maybe not so good? And a lot of these supplements, maybe why are they not so good?
Okay, so you touched so many points. All of them are valid, and we have, I think we have indeed to address many of these points, or all of them. But I will start with a history, because I think we have to give the due where it is. Indeed, Tony, he had initially thought that he has Lyme disease. He was trying to find solution for himself, and all the remedies that he had was not working. I mean, so it was definitely something new, something that is not normal. And then he was talking about it, and then Brian, indeed, he was more advanced than him in the discovering the nano, and he called him and he said, it's nano, but it's just nano. And that, let's say, triggered Tony to look into it, and then he was working with exchanging information with Brian, and then Brian, he has one type of approach, Tony, he went a different type of approach with the device, etc., and both they had the similar results. I mean, against the nano, they were helping the body to come out with two different methodologies, so they were exchanging a lot of informations. And then, yes, Glenn Scott, he came in the picture. They were introduced, they had some discussions together. And she's the one, Glenn Scott, that first made as well the link between nanotechnology and called it synthetic biology, that it can form synthetic biology. By itself, individually, the nanoparticles are not biology, but when they are coming in our body and utilizing parts of our body, the fats, the lipids, etc., because they are programmable particles, then they can behave as biology, synthetic biology. They are mimetic technology, so they cause symptoms that the mainstream medicine, because they are not trained on that, they don't recognize it. And actually, the industry is using them in order to as vehicles to deliver medicine, to deliver different medicine and drugs as very targeted, because they have this capability. From this point of view, it's excellent. But the problem is what happened after. Not all the nanoparticles there are going out. Some they will be eliminated through the normal pathways, but some they're going to translocate to different locations in the body, and they will stay there. And when they stay there, they start aggregating together. They start forming different assemblies, depending the material, depending different. There are so many factors that they contribute on that. They're inside our cells, millions of them, and they destroy all the nanoparticles. If somebody will attend a nanotechnology course, and especially when they are talking about the toxicity of nanotechnology, all the courses, all universities, you take it in India, you take it in Russia, you take it wherever they are talking about that, they know, and if you see the literature, publications, both peer review and others, but publications nevertheless, they say that nanotechnology is cytotoxic, causing problems, toxicity to our cells. One nanoparticle is not going to be a problem, but many of them, and in that so much volume that we have, all they are causing toxicity. And it's not only in the mankind's bodies, in men and women and children. It's the same happening with animals. It's happening to the fishes, to the trees, and everything.
Yeah,
that's why the whole world is suffering.
Yes, yes.
Now.
But do they? So, but Yannis, let me just interject here. So, do they? Because I've seen that in Cambridge University, they got courses now, haven't they, on like nano, like the Internet of Nano things, this and that and the other. Do they think, obviously you got people like Elon Musk wanting to do Neuralink, and you can see his vision of why he wants to data that and maybe help people with limbs and this and that and the other. So, do you think that these people have a genuine belief that they're doing good for man?
Some of them, yes. Some of them, they believe, yes, strongly, because they see it narrow. It's very interesting because, okay, I don't know how far we can go, let's say, to include everything, but some of these people, they really believe that they are doing something good.
Yes, yes.
They're science, they are studying, they're PhD students, and then they're going on that, and they are believing that they are helping. But they are so narrow-minded
Yes.
and they don't see the consequences. Although we know the consequences, or those that they have, let's say, engineered these as a plan, they know the consequences, and they're showing us in all the movies. We know that they are using movies to show us things that are happening.
Yeah.
And in every movie that we have seen that someone, a scientist, he cut his arm or his legs, and then he inject nanoparticles, or he inject from the lizard, and then he became, initially it's helping,
Yes.
but always is turning to a monster, always is turning against the host.
Yeah, it's like the C60, isn't it? It's like with the C60, they said, oh, on the 8th week of the rats, it was beneficial, but then we need to, again, look at
exactly longer.
Yeah, the longer, yeah. It's easy to take a little bit of a peer-reviewed journal and say, oh, well, this is why it's good, but then we want to look at the longer term.
In long term, exactly.
Because we're essentially the guinea pigs in this situation now, aren't we? It's like I could almost say, when we originally heard about a GMO tomato, and I remember that, and they were like talking about adding a salmon to the tomato, and I'm like, my God, like, you know, like you can't, some things you cannot improve upon, can you? But so this is almost like an evolution from the genetically modified. Now we're going into some kind of crazy kind of Frankenstein.
Okay, I want still to talk for some of the points that you mentioned earlier, but talking about that now, let's say one bracket. I have wrote years ago an article, "The War Against Mankind and Our Countermeasures," and I was saying that actually they started with destroying our immune system with the pesticides. In theory, in order to increase, to be able to feed all this population. Otherwise, you could not be fed. Okay, big question on that, but that was the public excuse. But all these pesticides, they start affecting us. Then they start genetically modifying products, again, to improve. We have not seen any improvements in the quality of the life, but anyway. So the immune system is getting down. Then they start loading us on the late 80s, 90s to 2000s and onwards with nanoparticles. So already you had a weak immune system. We are loaded with nanoparticles. These nanoparticles are causing thousands of problems. Mimetic technology is misdiagnosed, as we said, the Lyme's. Many times it's actually nanoparticles. Some they call it Morgellons. Morgellons basically it's engineered nanoparticles. It's not an alien or something else alive. It's it's alive, but not organic. It's synthetic. And all of that with what some people they ask me, okay, what for? Why they are doing all of that? Nowadays we start seeing why you are doing all of that. You talk about the Internet of Things. The objective is to connect the human body to the AI with the internet, because our DNA, this is the real reason, our DNA, it's a huge source of energy and capacity and computing power.
Oh my God.
So this is the higher objective, the AI gonna be a god, etc. So I have talked about all of that, and now we see more and more the Internet of Things. We know there are protocols, telecommunication protocols, that they are talking about connecting the body with the internet, so it's an accessory, and all of that are coordinated. As time is passing, we see more and more of that. 10 years ago, somebody would say, this is impossible. Now already you said in the Cambridge University, they are talking about, they have courses about Internet of Things. So we see how all this, they are coming together. And what is our solution, or our, let's say, defense mechanism? We have to disengage the nanoparticles in our body. We have to reduce the amount of nanoparticles in our body, what we are putting in our body. We have to take it out. We have to repair the damages that have happened from the nanoparticles in our body. And of course, we have to reduce the exposure to sources that they are activating them, because they're accumulating, they can be problematic, but at a certain moment when they are hit as well with electromagnetic frequencies of high frequency or low frequency, it depends really the type of of wave that is hitting, this they can start energized, they can be activated, they can create crystals, they can create nodes, they can create emitters and receivers in the body. So we need to protect our body and help our body to remove them, all of them out. And this is happening with electromagnetic pulses. This is one of the most efficient and faster way. There are some other ways as well, but it's much slower. But we have to be careful because not every electromagnetic pulse is an Antinano pulse. The Antinano devices that I'm making, there are electromagnetic pulses, is PEMF, pulsing electromagnetic fields. But they have very specific characteristics. The waveform is specific, the frequency, the amplitude, the power. There are other devices, PMF, that, as you said, they may be useful and beneficial for anything organic in our body, to heal our nerves, to heal our muscles, to relax our muscles, with the right wave, pulse wave, square wave, monophasic, not dual phasic. But it's not strong enough, the amplitude is not strong enough, the magnetic field is not strong enough to disengage the nanoparticles. And on the contrary, it can activate them because it's a little bit, so they're getting some energy. Before continuing with the devices, since we talk about energy, to see how much does not require a lot to be activated, I have one friend, customer, I mean, he has not bought a device from me, but he has bought a consultations and he has built his own devices, who is mastering Qigong and some other things like that, okay?
Yes.
And he had so high his energy that the nanoparticles, they were activated from that. He got exposure with something, but because his energy was so high, and or whenever he was putting his energy high, he could see that they were fed and they will start scrolling, they were activated. So even the heat of our body, the moves of our body, it's energized them, but even the energy, you know, the chi, as they call it in Asia, can energize them. So if we have pulses from devices that are not strong enough, as with a non-triangle, for example, or the bucket, this energy, even if it's the right frequency, even if it's the right waveform, if it's not strong enough, it can energize them. Or the Antinano device that we have, if we start using them with very high frequency, this one as well can energize them. Because it's so close the pulses together, which for the nanoparticles like continuous current, so it's energized them. So the line, the specifications actually, the specifications are very narrow. Rife machines, Zapper, Dr. Clark, etc. Are they useful?
Yes.
They are useful for anything organic. They are useful for what they have been designed to. There are PMF, but they are not Antinano PMF. And the contrary, they can activate the nano. And not they can, they will activate. Initially, the nano, what's happening? When we attack them, maybe they're gonna use, let's say, the rife. There are people that have used the rife of the Zapper. And initially, they feel well. The nanoparticles, if they will not be disengaged, when they will be attacked, they retreat, let's say, but then they come back stronger. They find ways to repair. They are self-assembled, self-repair, self-building up, etc., etc. So these devices, they can activate, even if initially we feel well, at the end, it may come back to hit them.
Sorry, it's my little dog.
It's normal. It's natural.
You're on the farmyard. You're on the farmyard. My apologies.
No, why apologies?
She wants to go out. I've just got a little puppy. She's like, let me out.
Yes,
my youngest just went out. She wants to. She's such a character.
So these devices, yes, they have their role. They have the usefulness. I don't discard them. But we have to be careful how we are going to use them, because we are not living, let's say, on the 80s or on the 90s.
Yes.
We have so much nanotechnology inside us, which is many of the nanoparticles are conductive. So we have to be careful what we are using, because the environment is completely different, the external environment and inside our terrain. How they can use it, those that, for example, they have parasites inside them, they have something. Although Tony Panteleresco, definitely he says do not use it for the risk that we have with the nanoparticles, definitely. But because really maybe they need this device because they have really organic problem, organic parasites, organic biology inside them that they need to heal. What I recommend is if somebody needs it, he has to start the Antinano protocol, which we're going to discuss what is the Antinano protocol. Already I mentioned, but we're going to go a little bit more in details.
Yes.
He has to start the Antinano protocol for at least several months, 6-7 months for a year, and follow. So he's going to reduce the amount of nanoparticles in their body, his or her body. Then he can use, let's say, he has in a session with the Antinano device, the triangle. Then he can use the RAI for the Clark or whatever device for the session that he needs. Follow the gain with the Antinano device. So we disengage, we use, let's say, to attack the organic parasite, the organic biology, and then again, immediately after, use the Antinano device to disengage and to neutralize what potentially may have been activated with this extra energy from the other device.
Yeah, so we've got to now discern between. So now, not only do we have the original challenges that we may have had in the past with, parasites, terrain theory, things going on. Now we've got to factor in to be educated now, not be ignorant, and think, well, okay, there's enough evidence now to show us that there is a synthetic biology. We must now start to cater for this. So with this in mind, I've created a load of questions based on, some of the problems, about the Antinano device. So if and when you're ready, we can get into those questions and we can start to go through those as well.
Sure. Let's go ahead. Yes, I mean, the topic is not, it's not exhausted in one conversation. It's so wide, and even the Antinano protocol, it's one part is the nano devices, the other part is to reduce the intake. We can talk so much about that. The other part is to flush them out. How you can flush them out? Several ways. Repair the damages that they have caused, enzymes, minerals, etc. Protect our environment, our exposure to the EMF, and I have added in Tony's protocol, this is the 5 basic of Tony's protocol, and I have added as well something that I find it's quite important, optional, but let's say highly recommended. It's to have a proper detoxification from toxins and heavy metals in a proper sender to clean the elimination pathways, remove toxins periodically, once per year, whatever, and then when you have removed the toxins, which they are somehow making our immune system to work less, when you have removed this one and you have cleaned the elimination pathways, the nanoparticles as well, when you have disengaged them and we follow the removal protocols, they are coming out faster and bigger. It's easier to remove the nanotechnology when as well we have a clean body. But as I said, each one of that, let's say, it's a topic of several hours and discussion and
this is the beginning of many. Like, I'm sure we could just do one live alone just on removing the nano from internal. Then there's the external, the disengaging. There's so many. So this is the beginning of many. This is I guess today we could call this nanosynthetic biology for dummies.
High level. Overall.
But this is a high IQ outfit, and we were saying, like, right now, this is not for people that are still in the realm of it's Morgellons. There's people now like these so-called, Tony calls them goofy gurus. They're still regurgitating the same information. They're still in the world of Morgellons. We fast forwarded now, and we're like, we've got enough evidence from 2014 fast forwarding to today to kind of have a list of like tens machine. If you're going to use your Holder Clark, you do have to now factor in that there are other smoking guns, Trojan horses that most people are not really talking about. They'll be telling you why, you know, and this is one thing I'd like to, you know, we're going to get into these questions in a moment, but Yannis, what do you have to say to, if someone's saying, well, my zeolites are working, or, you know, I think the crazy one is diatomaceous earth is working. I'm like for me, as a pet owner, I've only ever looked at diatomaceous earth as something that maybe I had a cat that I was fostering, it had come to me in a little bit of bad condition, maybe it was worse for wear. I might sprinkle some diatomaceous earth on its coat, on its bedding, but I wouldn't really ever consider ingesting this
again,
stuff.
Again, it's what we said earlier with the other devices.
Yeah.
Of course, they work.
Yes.
The problem is not if it's efficient or not. The problem is what's happening after.
Yes.
When this is nanoparticles, only a small part. Yes, it will gonna attract, let's say, the toxins. It's gonna remove the toxins. The zeolite gonna remove the aluminium. But what happens after? When zeolite is silica and aluminium crystals? And it's proven now that there are more and more problems that we have with this.
Yes.
So yes, they are working, but in a long term, what is happening? Like when you have a clinical trials, okay, when a medication is coming out in the field, or an injection vaccine, etc., in theory, correctly, they are having 10 years study and evaluation to see how it behaves in a long term, not in a short term. It will be efficient. Yes, it's going to be a little bit efficient, or efficient for what it does, but what are the side effects?
Yes. Yeah, it could be. It could even be like generational, couldn't it? It's like
it can, of course.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so so we really need to now like start using this upstairs.
We have to use it. Yes, we have to take. We are living 2026. Okay, the environment, everything, the products are not the same as it was in 90s, 80s, 50s, 60s, or even in 2000. Unless we take in consideration the nano factor, and not only the nano, the toxicity of nanoparticles in our body, nothing else is going to give a solution, a real solution. It's going to give some temporary, it's going to give some side effects, but if we don't address what is the problem, we need to address the cause of the problem. The cause of the problem is the nanoparticles in our body, and not just as a volume, as particles, but the fact that they are making these assemblies, they aggregate, they are making these assemblies, they can be activated, they can cause cancers, they can cause thousands of things. They are building this synthetic biology. What the people they call, when in the Morgellon groups, we see people that they have all these things coming out. Why it's coming out? Because the body is saturated. It's saturated and they have been activated, and the body is trying, is screaming for help. And it has so much load that it's just pushing it outside. Usually they are hiding, but it's so much that is pushing it outside because it saturated the body. And what they will try to do, okay, we're going to put this, we're going to take a herbal tea, or I will take, or some salt. There are things that they are using, and we may use as well in that nano protocol, but these things what they are using over there, it's just they try to treat the symptoms, not the cause. The cause are the nanoparticles and their activation, what they are doing inside our body. Unless we attack that, anything else that we do, it's just temporary. In the best case, if they are efficient, it's going to be temporary symptoms treatment. And after a while, they will come again and come again and come again because the cause has not been addressed. So we have to take in consideration this cause in everything that we try to apply to heal or to improve our well-being, protect our environment, the cats, ourselves, our kids, etc.
Okay, so what is the problem with the majority of engineered nanoparticles remaining in the body, aggregating, assembling, and expanding? And I think you've kind of covered some of this.
Yeah.
But I suppose then, so really, I think this comes down to, say somebody's saying, well, urine therapy is working. you know, but
Okay,
they're
yeah.
not, but they're not factoring in the fact that now they're recycling the nano. And I always say this, it's like,
Exactly.
or I say, like, well, Shilajit, they'll tell you all the reasons why Shilajit is good, but we're back to that. We're not living in the times of Ayurvedic times. We're not living, when urine therapy may have been used in those particular systems. Also, with herbal medicine today, a lot of the herbs, I know a lot of these people that have a bit of you were talking about the films, a lot of people can certainly have a doomsday approach that everything's now shit because everything's covered in nano. But we do have to now think, well, okay, a herb did have a place, but if it's covered in nano, we're putting the nano into the body. And you've really covered some of these challenges that the body's continuously trying to repair itself. People are now confusing symptoms with overtoxicity or too much payload in the body. The body's struggling with this because it's obviously affecting the mitochondria, the life of the human being. It's making the body tired. They're showing up symptoms. The doctors don't recognize it. So maybe we should start today with, well, what actually is an anti-nano protocol? Why is it that someone's coming along now saying nicotine we're getting a lot of this stuff now, people showing us these so-called nano whistleblowers saying nicotine destroys
Nanotech.
nanotech. Very strong term. I'm getting a bit confused with it. People are saying I can heal cancer, I can do this. I'm from the days of Codex Alimentarius, where we couldn't even say that we could only say frankincense may do something, or an arginine may do something. Now we're getting a lot of bold claims, aren't we? Like even with the ivermectins and all these things that seem to have emerged when a lot of people are now sat in front of the computer. And maybe we should also talk about like how now through certain global challenges that humanity has faced with these lockdowns that happened, and there were certain protocols that were recommended that may be less than beneficial for the human, and how are these things that have happened to people where they've thought, oh my god, they've reacted with fear, they've thought there was a boogeyman, and they've taken something that now might also contain these nanolipid particles. I think our viewers will know what we're talking about. And so now, where you were saying that yes, sure, the herbal remedy, maybe even if you were inclined to be a Hindu and you might have done urine therapy, well, maybe now we need to be bringing in some kind of technology to, fight fire with fire, I think we call it, don't we? How can I, if I'm using a herb, where does this nano engineering, like, why does this not work now? Like, I'm a layman, I'm coming in, I'm saying, someone said to me, well, tobacco destroys nanotech. Well, why is it that this tobacco, that they're showing us on these slides that it's destroying it, or they're showing us now that these golds are destroying it? I get that a lot, the golds destroying it. All these claims are coming up that something organic is destroying something that is synthetic, biological. So, like, what is the nano protocol, and how does that work?
Okay, yeah. Okay, before going to the Antinano protocol, let's remind that the herbs, for example, because you mentioned the herbs.
Yes.
Anything and everything that grows outdoors,
yes,
is loaded with nano today. Okay, they spray the skies, and everything that's over there, it's coming down. So there is nothing really organic, as you know, clean from chemical pesticides. Yes, maybe the field does not have chemical pesticides, and it's with natural things, with manure and other things. But organic, there is nothing because of what's coming from the sky. The fruit, the vegetables, everything that grows outside. Indoors, herbs, yes, they can be clean.
Yeah.
But why these herbals and the chemistry cannot help with a nano? Because they are not designed to help. How, let's say, any herbal or nicotine, when we talk about the nicotine, can destroy silica, nanosilica, can destroy carbon, can destroy silver, can destroy titanium. All of that, there are nonsense. We are using the herbs, we are using the chemistry, we are using the minerals in order to help our body then to repair or flush out what has been disengaged, but does not destroy the nanoparticles. Nicotine. I still have to see the real experiment that shows, and the study that shows that the nicotine destroys nano. What I have seen so far, and if somebody has something different, please share it in your media and my media so we can study it.
Yes.
What we have seen, what they propagate, they show a video, a screen from a microscope, appears to be a microscope. We see something that is like a crystals, which they call its nanostructure, and then a fluid flowing over there, and then the structure starts melting. We don't see from the beginning what was put on the microscope. We don't have any proper study when you are doing studies, you know, for whatever, for drugs, for lab tests, etc. There's a clear protocol where it says what you are using, what batch you are using, how much you are using from that, what machines you are using.
Like a white paper, shows you the whole.
Yes, so it has everything has to be documented. So let's say we can
day one, day two, you know,
everything, and then if somebody wants to repeat it, can repeat and see if it has the same results.
Yeah, we need that, don't we? Yeah.
Yes, we see a video with something crystals that melting with a fluid, which the speaker says that it's nicotine and it's nano. It can be salt and water. It can be sugar and water. How do I know?
Yeah, how do we know? Yes. Yeah,
and I have information about studies in nicotine in an Asian country because I was talking with doctors over there in the time of the boogeyman. Of course, down there in a specific country, they try a lot of things, and they try nicotine, and they stop the trial because it has no result. They were wasting the time. So those people that they calling this, I don't know how they even if they are scientists or they call themselves scientists, how can they accept to present something without the foundation behind it? Just a video that proves nothing. Maybe it can, but give me all the results, and so somebody can repeat these experiments and validate it.
Yes, true. You need to see the whole trial, because that's only how the next person can then create a new paper based on those findings and expand it, is either beneficial, and this is actually quite important. We want to know, there's always going to be something, okay, for example, zeolite, there'll be the trials to prove to us that it's beneficial, but we also, because we don't know what this is saying, like you were saying about the 10 years study, we will also need to know if there's a toxicology around this, and is it beneficial? So you can't always look at it as, you know, of course there's going to be a bias if someone's selling something and they're going to be like, my zeolite is great, but we also need to be asking, well, what is the
That's the important question.
Yeah, what is
if somebody wants to look further, he can just go to a website which is called academia.edu from education, edu, and simply type toxicity of nanoparticles or nanotoxicity, something like that. There will come 300,000 plus papers. Some of them they are peer review, some of them they're just white papers, some of them there are PhD theses, but there are so many. And many of them, they will say, okay, the nanoparticles are so much wide, but used, but we don't have a lot of things for the health or how it affects the environment. They start, creating, looking on that, and they're coming out with problems. But there is no regulatory framework. Now in EU, they have started put something for some cosmetic products, because what's inside the cosmetic products. I'm going to talk about this on what you can do in the protocol, as you said. But still, there are approximately 148,000 tons produced in 2024. And I just published on Monday, I think, in my Substack, the summary of a study that was done in 2010 regarding the effect of nanoparticles inside the cell.
Oh, wow.
Some materials, some elements, actually, they were causing the cell tricking the cell, and the cell was behaving as it's hypoxic, as it does not have oxygen, because of the nanoparticles. Suffocating the cell, the body, actually.
Oh my
And
God.
it was all, he said, all nanomaterials, they penetrate in all the cells from different species.
Yeah.
So it's going inside. Now, the other claim regarding gold. Actually, I was in a group where this presented the first time. I was invited in a group from David Nixon, the doctor in Australia, and he had a working group with different scientists, electronic engineers, doctors, biologists, chemistries. And there was one doctor from Korea who was studying the graphene or something like that, and he was using nanosilver. Even she was saying that it was so difficult to get it in Korea, and she had found a source in Netherlands, and they were bringing it. And over there, she had put nanosilver in some petri dishes, and then they were observing how long it takes and what will happen. And yes, we could see some disformation of the graphene or the nanostructure. But what I told them in that group, I said, yes, all of that, it's happening, but it's in vitro, meaning outside the body.
Right.
Inside the body, the conditions are completely different. A little bit the temperature to change, it changes the behavior of the nanoparticle. A little bit the pH to change, it changes the behavior of the nanoparticle. So what we see in vitro, it may give us some indication, but it's not a guarantee that the same is happening in vivo inside our body. And it's impossible to fight nanotech with nanotech. It's not working like that. You just add additional nanoparticles inside the body.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Because they'll be like, "Hey, you're a friend. How am I?" I think the key word I'm getting here is this. There's a sense of utilization, isn't there? If I eat a vegetable, I know that my body's going to take certain aspects from it, and so now we're bringing in this nano. That nano has obviously been carefully crafted. It's a very carefully crafted plan. And these different kinds of nanos. So, for example, like silica, it's rife in everything, isn't it? It's like in every toothpaste.
It is in every powder. It is silica.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And not only the silica. Okay, lipstick for the ladies. Let's start with cosmetics. Lipstick with the ladies. Most probably they contain iron oxide in nanoscale to give this red color. Most probably the nanoscale. All the sunscreens that they are white, the white cream, if you read the labels, they have titanium oxide or titanium dioxide because it gives more white. It makes the white more bright.
Oh, no.
They say don't go to the sky, put the sunscreen to protect from the sun, and you get cancer from the titanium.
Yeah, of course.
Now, the European regulations, they have started putting some regulations, let's say, to remove some substances from some cosmetic products, but it's not all the nanoparticles. Silver, nanosilver, all the crops, all the seeds, all the cereals, let's say, wheat, barley, whatever, quinoa, all of that,
all the
when
grains.
they grown outside, first of all, they're getting nanoparticles from what is sprayed on the skies.
Yes.
Then when they are storing them in the silo, in order, let's say, to avoid bacteria, in order to avoid fungus, what they are doing, they spray with nanosilver.
Oh wow! And there's the diatomaceous earth. That was the early for the rats, wasn't it?
Yeah, for whatever. And then you have you take this, let's say, the wheat, you make flour, you make pasta, you make bread, and you have all these nanoparticles inside you.
Yeah, and because this is the thing. Then it's when you're going industrial, they're putting. I might, if I buy, say, organic flour that's from a large manufacturer, because of the way they've milled it now with the steel, they have to add loads of minerals back into it because they've just killed it from. So you've ready. So if you're
this is another story. Yeah, this is another things that is happening in the process that is not that well.
Yeah. So here, I just got to share this. Here, we're very much holistic. So not only like me and Yannis, we're looking at the food. I know Yannis grows his own tomatoes. We'll get into this in a bit, but it's all about the good in the okay, the organics messed up. So at least if you know somebody that's small producer, not a large industrial, don't go to the supermarket for your organic. Try and find the small producer, ideally like what Yannis is saying, grow indoors, get a polytunnel, try and start to take control of the food, the natural medicines. You know, I can certainly show people where there are toothpaste. If you don't want to make your own toothpaste, you know, Tony's got a great mouthwash with trisodium phosphate, sodium bicarbonate. It's very, very good. And if you don't have the time to make your own, there are some companies, they're far and few, but you've really got to put that silica head on now, because that is in everything. And and now for the women as well, you know, even if someone's going, oh, I've got a non-chemical products, you know, you can go to the health store. The health stores are some of the worst places to go for these sorts of things, because it's in everything. You know, I might go to a health store and I'll buy a few choice items. So when you're equipped with this knowledge, you start looking at silica. It's in everything.
Everywhere.
And all your supplements. It's in the supplements. It's in the casing. It's in. So you've
everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere.
And as you said, it's not only the silica. For example, I mentioned the silver, nano silver. As well, many products that they have less salt, which they were using the salt in order to preserve the product, they have nano silver. But beside that, what we consume, medications. I had a few years ago, I had a red spot, and I went to the doctor, and he said, it's fungal, it's fungus, and he gave me a cream. It's okay, I will buy it. And I checked the cream, and the active ingredient was nano silver. I said, no way, I'm not going to use this one, even if I bought it. So I took coconut oil, and I mix as well, I put essential oil of thyme and oregano, which all of them, they're antimicrobial, antifungal, and I applied it 24 hours, it's gone.
Yeah, Yannis, guess what? I went to my chemist the other day. He's a great man. I used to talk to him about essential oils. The other day, a gentleman goes into the chemist on Saturday, and he's asking the ladies behind the counter, he's going, oh, I need something for toenail fungus. And they speak to him in Welsh, and then the chemist comes around, Adrian, and he goes, oh, what, you want something for your nails, for the fungus? He says, no, it's not for me, it's for my wife. He was like a little bit embarrassed.
Okay,
said, and he was going, you know, what have you got behind the counter? He said, I'll just go for some of that tea tree oil. And I was saying to him, yeah, and you could add some bicarbonate, and you're right, the coconut oil is antimicrobial fungal. And, you know, and I said, you can even put in some white vinegar to get it all, you know, and play with it, you know. But isn't that great that the chemists, you know, the chemists are so good. You know, he's still got the honey on the counters and stuff. You know, I don't know a lot. I know Tony will often say, "Oh, the bees it's all messed up," but I'm like, no, there's still good out there. And if you're going to the smaller producer, at least, you know, I think that the main takeaway here right now is like, just get away from the industrial, get away from the click organic and all that rubbish, and really try and get into less is more, keeping it simple, stupid with everything, isn't it? You know, like people say, like a great one now is activated charcoal. Well, I'm like, I can look at a 1900s physician book. Yeah, it's got charcoal in there. It's got borax in there. It doesn't have activated charcoal. You people need to say, well, what has made this activated? So from a gardening perspective, that might mean to me, you know, peeing on the charcoal, you know, from the fire. But like, just have a barbecue, like have a nice piece of steak, and there's a little bit of charcoal. That's your charcoal. You don't have to go into all these novel new ideas of I need.
I mean, and because this carbon, I mean, if somebody has a poison or whatever, yes, it will help. Food poison gonna help, but the point is, what is made from?
Yes.
If you take the pill, most probably the majority of the products nowadays, they will be in nanoscale. So they have been pulverized down to the nano size, and that is, it's going to take out the toxins. Yes, it's going to take the toxins, but it's going to give us as well what it will remain, because not everything will be eliminated. I mean, from the nanoparticles, from the carbon, they will remain inside, and then we have other problems with the carbon. What problems we're going to have? Please, people, listeners, audience, go and do as well a little bit of your research. Go to academia.edu or anywhere else and check toxicity of nanocarbon.
Yes.
Other books. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
what was coming up for me with the carbon, isn't it, Yannis? When I first heard that it's harder than a diamond and
It is.
tougher than steel.
Yes.
It's like, and like with this C60, like we have to ask the question, why are they putting it in with olive oil? And so if the body isn't recognizing these things, it's going to have to store it somewhere, and it's going to put it in the fat. And the brain is fat, and so
it is exactly.
So it's like we're putting one thing in to help ourselves, and then the other hand we have a smoking gun that is delivering more problems. And most of our viewers will know that from a normal perspective, that often you might go to see somebody, like Yannis was saying, he was going to go and get a cream, and all this cream was loaded with all these problems. But then we go simple and we go coconut, oregano, thyme. It's simple. The body can recognize it. It's going to utilize it. So we don't want to be putting things in now that the nano is utilizing. We need to kind of like, let's start to discern that and think, okay, less is more. I want things that are going to address this immediate system with this one condition, you know, and keeping it really, really simple.
The nanoparticles, as soon as they enter in our body, they creating around them what is called protein corona. It's not a corona protein that we know from the boogeyman, but it's called in a bibliography protein corona. This start immediately the self process, so the body start not recognize it. That's why the immune system is not expelling them immediately, because it cannot see them. And then, as you said, they love fats. They love fats. They will gonna go where are the fats. They're gonna use the fats. They're gonna store in the fat organs. And over there, they start them creating the different formations. For whatever reason, when you hit them with magnetic pulses, because the nanoparticles, I mean any element from periodic table, when it's in the nanoscale and nanosize, the whole properties they change, how it behaves chemical, electrical, etc. So when we hit them with the nanoparticles, for whatever reason, then the body can recognize them and flush them out. That's why we see when we are using the nano devices, we see things coming out bigger and faster than even someone does not have symptoms, I mean, does not see it by himself. If you're going to use the devices, they will start coming out. And then we help the body with the flush out techniques that we're going to talk. But it's unbelievable that unless we hit them with the magnetic pulses, nothing is happening. As you said, how something can destroy the carbon, which is harder than diamond. So we are so much loaded with all of that. Nothing chemical or herbally can affect the cause, the nanoparticles. We need technology to fight this technology. And yes, it is simple electromagnetic pulses, but here I would like to give the example of David and Goliath.
Yes.
Everybody knows this story, even if they are not believing the Bible, but they have heard this story.
Yes.
Okay, Goliath was, let's say, the high-end soldier of the Philistines back then. And David was just a shepherd. Okay, he had the help of God, but with a very simple technology, he took a stone and a slide, and he threw it, and the stone hit the high-end technology and put down the giant. And then he used its own technology, so David took the sword of the Goliath and cut his head. So simple solutions, as simple as they are appearing, when it's the right one, at the right specifications, he can take out this advanced technology. And this is the solution that we have as a countermeasure against this. As we said, it's not an easy task. It has continued effort because we are continually loaded with nanoparticles, but at least we can reduce the effects, and even you can start repairing the body, something that the system does not like. So what is the nanoprotocol? At nanoprotocol, first of all, we need to disengage the function of the nanoparticles. We need to have the pulses to stop their aggregations, to stop their expansion, to stop their networking. It's not that the triangle or the bucket will pull out magnetically the nanoparticles, because not all the nanoparticles are magnetic. but it will stop their function, and then the body is pushing it out. So the foundation is the usage of a nano device, the corrected nano device. Then we have to reduce, we cannot eliminate 100%, but we have to reduce the intake. We have to be careful what we put in our mouth, what we put on our skin, what medications we are taking. It's not gonna be hard because the options are getting very, very narrow. But for example, if the vegetables grown outside prefer root vegetables, prefer potatoes, beetroots, carrots, roots, for example. Okay, because the leaves, they are loaded with nanoparticles. If you have to eat the fruit, yeah, it's gonna be anyway too deep, but remove the skin. We said we know that all the majority of the nutrients are on the skin, for example, the apple, but the skin is loaded with nanoparticles. That's why many people, they are going with the apple cider vinegar. Yes, great vinegar, but it's loaded with nano. And especially if it has the mother, because it's done from the skin of the apples. And all the studies that they have been done about the apple cider vinegar, it is the distilled form. So yes, go get this vinegar, but buy the distilled one, which has passed the distillation and has removed the nano. Example. So we have to be careful what we put inside, what choices we are doing to drink, to eat. Vegetables and fruits, there are ways to remove the nano. Maybe I can give an example here. For example, you can take the vegetable, instead of eating it as is, you juice it. You take the juice, you put it in a blender, you put 1 spoon, 2 spoons of oil that is not getting solid with the cold, olive oil, for example. You blend it for half a minute. As we said before, the nano, they love fats. So whatever is in the juice, it's gonna go and touch with the oil. You let the juice sit in the refrigerator or in the bench, it depends what type of juice it is, if it's neat, for an hour, 2 hours, and all the oil will come on the surface. Then you scoop out the oil and you have removed 80-90% of the nano that goes over there.
Yeah, excellent.
So let's say we have to be careful what we put in our body. We have to disengage them. We have to flush them out then. The body, yes, will pull out, but it needs help. It needs help because it has a lot inside it. A very relatively easy and practical way for many, it's not everybody, it's to have a bath. A bath, if you have a bathtub, you can have a hot bath with some salts inside, like Epsom salt, which has magnesium sulfate. It removes as well other toxins, not only the nano. Sodium bicarbonate, baking soda, trisodium phosphate, and borax. A little bit, 1/4 of a cup of each in a big bath. It's not a problem. But the hot water, the temperature, open the pores, the salts are coming inside, they're flushing out toxins and nanoparticles. This is one way. Sweating, sauna, it's another way. Periodically, do some chelators, STS, maybe DDA, not often, 1, 2 times, 4 times per year maximum, and to take out as well not only what is, to help the body take out more from what is inside us. Then we have to help our body repair the damages. How we repair the damages? We have to give the body the building blocks, enzymes, minerals, vitamins, and depends where is the damage, nervous system, brain, etc. You can specific enzymes, chlorides as well, minerals in a chloride form. So we help our body to start repairing its damages in a cellular level, mitochondrial level, and even gene level and DNA level. Attention here, we are not talking about the modified DNA from the mRNA. We are talking about damages. Let's say, imagine our DNA is a wall of bricks, and it has received stones or bullets, so it has holes, so it has been destroyed, and we try to repair that one with these building blocks, the enzymes and the vitamins and the mineral. Those that they have the mRNA, especially 3 dosage and above, it has completely modified. So it's not anymore from bricks, it's bricks and metal, it's something else. It's genetically modified organ because that was the job of mRNA, to change, to give a program to start producing something that was not there before. So how much is going to work this on these persons? We don't know.
No, it's uncharted territory, isn't it? And
yes, exactly. It's still too early. It's still too early.
Yeah.
And then the fifth element is to reduce the exposure to sources that activate them, EMF sources that activate them. What are these? Of course, mobile phones, Wi-Fi, the blue light from the screens. So I see you are wearing the yellow glasses, which is excellent. My glasses as well, they have a layers to filter the blue light. I have this hat, it has inside EMF blocking material to protect my brain. I have here the textile that's blocking as well. When I work many times, I put on my back, I put on my lap. If I have the computer with me when I'm traveling, always I have this on my lap because it's working. And I have videos that they show that it's working. Yes. So we have ways to reduce the exposure to the harmful EMF. Someone who's on the house, ideally they can seal their house with proper painting and other materials. In the night, turn off the Wi-Fi.
Yes.
So at least when the body is sleeping, is not vibrating with 2.5 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz, which is the Wi-Fi, the first harmonic of the 2.5. And guess what? 2.5 gigahertz, it's exactly the frequency of the microwave oven. And our body was sleeping and it's vibrating to 2.5 million times per second, the cells. So how the people they can rest? They cannot rest.
Yeah, no, they can't rest. No, and also these things actually, because I was looking into so this is quite interesting because things like when someone's talking about the terahertz or whatever, it's like we have to look at, again, going back to those studies, you can see that they're using these specific frequencies. They might be using light as a frequency. They're using these things. So these are the building blocks to help this technology. So the more we can, we've got to get back to old school, haven't we, Yannis? So it's got to go.
Yeah, and what we are saying here, it's not a theory. It's not. Rise University, 13, 14 years ago, it shows that.
And they were excited, weren't they? They were really excited. They were like,
of course, yes. They hit it with the frequencies for the people that have not seen the video.
Yeah.
And it was the powder with nanoparticles all over
the
oil.
And then
it hits with the frequency, wireless frequency, they create chords.
Yeah.
Then you cut them. Yeah. You hit them again with frequency, chords again. They came back. Repair.
That's years ago. That's a long time ago, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's 15 years ago.
Yeah. Now they've got these nano things where they're using, because like obviously you got 5G. Now there's the 6G, and there's soldiers hearing the voice of Allah and running away.
Oh yeah. So it's a lot. This is combination of. There are some old patents as well that they can influence the behavior of a person simply from the TV, vibrating the screen of the TV.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you have all these nanoparticles beside us, it's so easy to put.
Look at the radio or the newspaper, right? If something simple like a newspaper with the right word set can influence it. And the radio and things. And now we've moved into this digital. Things are, and since the boogeyman, more people are in front of the computer, less people are sleeping. So these simple things now can really, I always say to people, don't take your phone to the bed, switch off the Wi-Fi. Try not to have a smart meter, even if they're saying they're going to save you money. You just want to go, we've got to really try and get back to the most simple, basic roots. So can people come to you, and if they want to get a hat, or they want a blanket, can they come to you to get a blanket and a hat?
Yes, of course. On my website, I have some samples. I have some products. Yeah. Of course, I have access to resources to get more products. Simply, I don't have the time, let's say, to work on my website.
Yes.
But yes, they can consult me, and I can find for them the ideal product. I have the website where as well I built the devices. I have improved the device that, as we said, we have taken Tony's prototype.
Yeah.
The improvements that I have done is not only that I have added the frequency control, but as well lately I have redesigned the triangle.
Yes.
Still, it's a triangle,
yes.
but after calculations and some thought and some, let's say, research, I find out that if we have a certain size of the triangle,
yes,
and the height of the triangle, for example, here I have one that it's ready, you see?
Yes.
I have this triangle here.
Yes.
The size of this one, how long it is.
Yes.
The height of this, how high it is.
The thickness
all of that,
of it.
they are
yes.
important.
Yes.
In what aspect? It's important, the design that I have done and repositioning the magnets, I managed to, without increasing the current or without increasing the length of the wire, because the two factors that they influence the density of the magnetic pulse, the power of the magnetic field, is how much current is passing and how many turns we have around the coil. This is a triangular coil.
Yes.
So without changing this, simply by designing it and in the specific way that I have designed it and the way that I have done it, I managed to increase the penetration of the magnetic field, the power of the magnetic field, because now it's focusing the beam, it's focusing the magnetic field more than 20 centimeters, 25 centimeters. I can measure the field, but this is not the important. The important is that I managed to increase the power of the magnetic pulse. Close to the surface, 2 centimeters from the triangle, it's more than 800 times stronger. 5 centimeters, 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters. 20 centimeters, it's almost 70 to 100% stronger than the previous triangle. So I double, let's say, the performance in the far field. And why for me is this important? Because unfortunately we are living in a world that many persons and users of the triangle, they are obese. They have a little bit extra fat or a lot.
Yeah.
So using a triangle that is only efficient in the surface, it is helpful, yes, but it's not so efficient. I want the people to remove the nano from deep inside them.
Yeah, because there's survival of the fattest, the fat's protecting them, and we need to now get into that fat as well, where it's...
and beyond, because they will be in the organs, they will be in the intestines, they will be in the liver.
Yes.
So I have improved, let's say, the triangle. I have not changed the price of that, what I was doing, let's say, with the improvements. And another improvements that I have done, and I have not put it yet in the website, but I just announcing now to you. I have as well in the high-end model on my Triflex Age, the high-end. I'm putting now dirty electricity filtering.
Oh, interesting.
Both in the output, at the moment it's in the output.
Yes.
And I'm improving the circuit as well on the output. So the DC current that is passing through the wire to be really pure. Already the power supplies, they have a filtering, but from what it seems, it's not really efficient. And I had some customers that they were looking for that. So I said, okay, I will design something, and I will implement as well the devices.
Is that so they could like run it on a battery and an inverter if they wanted to?
Of course, because our devices, they are running in DC current, 12-volt DC current. If someone has a car battery or a motorbike battery, definitely they can use it over there, and then they avoid all the dirty electricity. And can be as well, if the grid is down, they can use the battery. The only thing that is requires, and I need to know, is, let's say, to let me know so I can provide an adapter that they can use for that. Because now it's designed to be connected in the electricity. But the electronic part inside, the second part, let's say, of that nano device, because that nano device has 3 parts. It has the power supply, it has the automatic switch, and then it has the coil, triangle, bucket, whatever. The power supply at the moment is mainly on the wall, but it can be replaced with a battery. Simply, we will need an adapter, cables to connect the battery with the device. Only that. Very simple.
Okay, so this is good. We've covered quite a lot of our questions, like why do we need an anti-nano device? I think we've covered that. Are all EMP devices anti-nano? If
No.
not, why not?
Yes, as we said earlier, the characteristics of the waveform can be square wave, on, off, on, off, on, off. Can be square, this is monophasic, on, off, on, off, on, off. Can be bipolar, so on, off, minus on, off, plus on. This is not antinano. It will activate the nano. If it's sinus wave, it will activate the nano. If it's other shape, it will activate the nano. Many PMF devices, they don't have square wave, on, off, or they may have, they have blasts, so they have, let's say, a blast of sinus wave. So let's say one blast of 100 megahertz or 5 gigahertz, and it's a blast. And because it's so dense, it appears like a pulse. So blast of high frequencies. This is not antinano, it activates the nano. As well, the current that's passing through the nano devices, it varies from the early devices from Tony, it was like 6 to 8 amps. And now with my devices, you can go up to 25 amps. And I had as well a higher, but it was, I just went down to keep it, let's say, standardized to 25 amps. So it's create a very strong pulse. Other pulse PMF devices, they don't have that current. They have millicurrent, so a little bit of current. So the magnetic field, the amplitude of the magnetic field is not strong enough to disengage. That's why there are not all PMF devices antinano. The antinano device, it is PMF, but not all the antinano PMF. That's why some people, they say, or there's some experiments that they use a PMF device and then it makes the nano worse, or they make the blood worse. Yeah, what type of PMF was it?
Yes.
PMF does not mean antinano.
No, okay. Yeah, good. And so with you, from my experience, your focus is on this specific device from the triangle from 2014 to 2016 to today, to making it better and refining it and getting into the details, right?
That is correct. And as well on the spike device, even the spike device, I have improved it. I have made it stronger without changing anything physically. I have done something on the coil that it amplifies the signal and therefore the output is stronger. So yes, I'm focusing only on these two types of machines. Making them better, yes.
Yeah.
More efficient. When I say better, we mean more efficient. Stronger signal, so they can produce results faster.
Yes.
If someone will build his own, let's say, triangle based on the whatever videos that we have seen from Tony and others, it's gonna work. Yes, it's gonna work, assuming that the person is using it. They have to use it.
Well, yes,
but it will take some time. It will take some time because the current maybe is not enough. Maybe the coil is not enough. The tension is not enough. There is another device, Nanogon, which has it's basically like a circular. It has 9 sides, which is very similar to the circular device, and can produce, if it has enough current, can produce strong field in the near field around it, but it's not going to be focused. It's going to be dispersed like that. The triangle really is the ideal shape for antinano. It's better than the bucket. The bucket has the benefit that, you can have at the same time remove some of the nanoparticles inside the water and the vinegar, but as efficiency on the body, how to focus the beam and make it strong in a specific ways, it's the triangle. Because as well, it has the advantage that, it hits, there is here a magnetic field, there is here a magnetic field, there is here a magnetic field. So all of them, they are hitting the nano from 3 different directions. And then, depending the shape and the size, the dimension that we have, it can as well, we can focus to go really specific deep. So you want to work with your liver, we put it here and it's gonna go penetrate the liver, it's gonna reach the kidneys.
Because of that depth of field of where it's going to. So like you were saying with the vitro and whatever the other one was, this one's we're able to go into the body. And so have you actually, because you were saying about the different frequencies, have you worked out through your own investigation that there's specific layers in the body where you have to use a specific frequency for this particular triangle? Or it just,
No,
or it just,
on this
just,
detail, I have not reached.
no.
Definitely, if we want deeper,
Yes.
let's say people that are obese, they are bigger size, it's better to use lower frequencies, 1 to 10, 1 to 12. It's going to penetrate lower. Even 27, of course, is going to penetrate. I mean, I have it.
So does your triangle have a dial on there where you can choose?
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Right.
You can use, and you can. Okay, this is another point I forgot to mention. You can not only change the frequency from 1 to 27, but the duration of the pulse. What I mean, if you have 1 hertz, when you say frequency 1 hertz, in 1 second, you have 1 pulse. This means 1 hertz. If you have 2 hertz, it's 2 pulses in the second. So every half a second, we have 1 pulse. The duration of the pulse is how long, how much is the duration of the pulse. So in 1 second, 1 hertz is going to be 1 pulse. 50% duration, duty as they called it, it means that half of the second the pulse is on, half of the second is off. Okay, if we have 0 duration, it means that we never have a pulse. If we have 100%, it's all the time on. So it's like continuous wave. We don't want this. For the Antinano function, we are using 50%, half of the circle. So in 1 hertz, it's going to be half a second on, half a second off. In 2 hertz, it's going to be 25 seconds on, 0.25 second on, 0.25 off, 0.25 on, 0.25 off. When we have the duration of the pulse, it means how long is the magnetic field, but at the same time, we have the electric field. This is going together. We have current that's passing, it's not a static magnet, so we have magnetic and electric field, electromagnetic pulse. The Antinano function is coming from a magnetic field. The magnetic field is the one that is destroying, let's say, the nano. The electric field is there, and it's there. But if we expose ourselves a long time to the electric field, you see people that they are using the nano 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, and then they say, "Boof, I was so much tired and I slept, or I had a very good sleep." Why? Because they expose themselves to electric fields too long. And this can be a problem, the electric field. There are some regulations which say how much you should exceed or you should not exceed. So with our triangle, low frequencies, it's so little, even if it's half of the time, the frequency is, we have 1 pulse per second or 4 pulse or 9 pulse per second. It's not too long exposure anyway. Going higher, again, it's under the regulatory, because I have searched all of that, and still it's under the regulatory, so it's good. But I recommend to reduce the duration. So instead, let's say, of having 50%, have it 20% of the time. So it's going to be 20% on, 80% off. And this reduces the exposure of the EMF. And this means as well that persons that today they are electrosensitive, they can use this because they can play with the duration of the exposure to the electric field. And they can use it without having any discomfort. Or if they will have some discomfort, the discomfort as well, for me, in my theory, is that, or the observation, is that this is happening because we have a lot of nanoparticles inside us. And many of these nanoparticles are conductive. So when EMF is hitting us, some of the energy is going to be turned to heat, some of the energy is going to be turned to current, electric current. And if we have inside us, tiny wires, of course this current will gonna pass through and gonna make the people sensitive, or they're gonna suffer from that because they're feeling the current. But as we are using the devices and we remove these nanoparticles, the electrosensitivity is reduced as well.
Yeah, well, I kind of guess what you're saying there is, and I say this with anything, it's small amounts consistent over a long period of time. And so, would I be correct in that? It's like you've got to use your device, haven't you? And then so with the bucket, obviously they got so you supply the bucket, they've got the water in there, but Tony shows the bucket, the triangle and the bar. you've now done enough research to suggest that if we just use the triangle for a specific amount of time, then we jump into the bath.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the only added value of having the triangle inside the water,
Yes.
really, the only added value is saving time.
It's saving time, yeah.
Only
yeah.
that. It's the same efficient as if you have it on the air. And actually, if you check the propagation of the magnetic fields on the air, it's higher than the water. Very similar. The factor is very small, but it's stronger on the air. Really, the only added value is that we save time. It's prerequisite, of course, to have the bath later the day or immediately after, so we can flush out the disengagement. It's highly recommended.
Yeah.
Okay. If you go to a sauna, it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
But
yes.
you can use the triangle dry, definitely.
Oh, you answered my question. So, and you could also, a lot of people today don't have the bath, but if they had a sauna, more people have freaking sauna now than bath. They could do the same with the sauna, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Even, if somebody doesn't have a shower, doesn't have a sauna, but he's living in a place where it's warm, you can just go in a half an hour with a car, close the windows and stay in the sun with a car. You're going to start sweating like in a sauna.
There's methods, isn't there? They could even, if they were somewhere where it's a bit more cold, they could jump into the water. Just doing something where there's a way to expel it.
Yes,
right?
there are ways. I mean, it should not be a stop because you don't have a bath or whatever. Important is to disengage the particles, and then there are ways to flush them out.
And with the salt bathing, working out some kind of salt, this kind of covers. So even if they don't have the device, they're working towards the device. They can start with the salt bathing, and then you get a lot of people now today are going, oh, like heavy metals. They feel this need to use the zeolites. It's very simple, isn't it, Yannis? We're using salt. It's the chlorides, and then say someone's going, oh, go alkaline. That's another thing we hear today. What we're learning now is it's more important to be bringing in like your fermented foods, your raw dairy ferments. It's the acids we want to be bringing in, isn't it? The acids.
Yes. We have to. Actually, we need to be the balance. Then, depending what is the pathology.
Yes.
And again, what we are saying here, we have to say this one. What we are saying here, it's the general rule that's applied potentially to 80% of the population. But they may be 20% of people that they have specific needs, their history is different, and what we say here is not going to be applicable. It's the same, like, let's say, we say everybody, okay, they can eat shrimps and they have this, whatever, for example, give an example, but there will be some people that have allergy.
Oh, no, for sure. I know somebody that he can't eat cherries,
Exactly. So we have always the exception. So what we say here does not.
No, we're just talking about us.
If you have questions or if it's not working, you try to apply it's not working, does not mean that it's not working, it's not efficient. Simply for you, it's not working. It needs modification. And we are here for that, to provide some consultation or to guide the people, to the persons that they are more specialist on that. I'm a specialist electronic engineer. I'm making the devices. I have experience in other things through my personal experience and talking with people that they know, but I'm not the expert. So if I don't know something, I can guide persons to the right one. But we have to take this one in consideration and everything. And this is advice only, not only for what we're talking now, but what they see as well in the internet. As you said, they see something in Morgellon groups, they see something, and then they try to apply it as is.
We're not your guru. We're not here to save anybody. This is what we are doing. Like, so for example, I've done the alkaline. I lived at a ranch in California. I thought alkaline was the thing at the time. This was like maybe 2002. Like Yannis was going to look at the C60. Both me and Yannis are on our own experience. I've been like 4-5 years plus, learning about, like, what is this raw food? What is this live food? Doing liver cleansing. We haven't just arrived here. This has been our own individual journey, isn't it? It's our own individual journey. And so wherever you're to on your journey, we're providing ideas that can say, like Yannis said it like just now, like the only benefit of putting the triangle into the buff is it saves you time. And here, our vision is to educate you, empower you, and to save yourself time, energy, and money, and actually go, well, look, like when Tony was the only human saying no to C60, all the gurus out there were telling you C60. Now,
Exactly.
I remember when, like now, and the good thing to do is if you get this, like when this nicotine destroys nanotech, the first evening I'm like, okay. And then within 24 hours, I'm seeing it all over my social media and I'm thinking, this is a psyop because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you know, it's like if I can't go, like for years, I was like, I can't even say that frankincense does X, Y, Z, that this does that. Yet suddenly someone's coming on the internet, which we know is very centralized, and they're going to, this destroys this. Like, how is this allowed? If Rife was, died on it, slipping on a bar of soap, if the same happened to Reich, it happened to, you know, it happened to all these people. Suddenly there's all these Rife machines making all these claims. We're not here making claims. We're here saying this is for your own empowerment and educational purposes for you to do. We want you to do your own research. We want you to take what we're sharing with you with a pinch of salt and go, well, actually, you know, like all these people out here are telling me why this is great, why this is good. And now we've got a small people here. I always say there's no smoke without fire. If everyone's going, this is all really, really good, and there's one human taking the time to go to, this is shit. You know, these are goofy gurus. Like my friend David, I've known him for 20 odd years. And suddenly, during the boogeyman, ivermectin, nanosilver, C60, and we should all be encouraged to ask questions. I heard it about the ivermectin, and the people that ask the questions usually get booted out of the group just for asking a question.
Yeah.
And my thing here is like, it's okay to have your delusions burst, because when your delusion is burst, you know, I get it with these spooky fake Rife people. I'm like, because I went into when I came into this nano triangle, this bucket, I was like, oh my God, please, Tony, I don't need to hear about George Carlin. I don't want to, I know the world's screwballed, you know, I just want to learn how to make the bucket. And when I came to Yannis was like, this is how much wire, these are the magnets. So if you're somebody that's DIY and you want to build your own, Yannis offers the schematics so you can learn how to build a triangle. But I've made lots of triangles through the guidance of Yannis. I blew things up. He'd say to me, Zeech, take it to an engineer, measure this, find out the amperage. And I've got to a point now where I'm like, he's so focused on this one thing. I'm like, man, I'm at a point now where I need to get into the details and go a little bit deeper. I want to know about the 20 centimeters because it's very calculated, it's very manipulative. Maybe some people, but the problem today is everything's so compartmentalized. A lot of these people might, you know what it's like in the education. You'll go into the education, they'll tell you that you're the future, you're all this. These people think they're doing good. But we all know that a lot of this stuff has come from the military, and then it's given to the public, the private. It's given to us. And so for us to be, so here, we're just like, well, it looks to me like there's something up in the sky. Logically, whether you believe in gravity or whatever you believe in, if something goes up, it has to come down. And so I suppose a good question would be, Yannis, people are hearing about these geoengineering, all this kind of stuff. You know, maybe it's geoengineering, maybe it's contrails. How did you start to do your own? Did you get a microscope? Did you do the red wine test? I heard someone the other day went to see his chiropractor, 35-year chiropractor. The guy put a bloody bullhorn around his body, got to his spine, and his spine started going, ee! Like, what, and so what, how can people start to even investigate that this nano thing is even real? And for me, let me just say this one thing. I was reading, this is a great book for people to read.
Yes, it is. I have it as well.
In this book, they're talking about freaking radio waves and stuff and heirlooms back in the days of Napoleonic Wars. So, and this is one other thing. I know I'm dropping in a few things here. You've often said the first one in, last one out. So like, how long has this been going on, Yannis? How long is
okay? Okay, so
And finally, are we still good for time? Are we still good for time? Or we can do
no,
another
for
one?
me the time is okay. For me
Yeah,
the
we're
time is
good.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
before answering these last questions,
Yes.
let me talk about our devices. Our
Yes.
devices,
Yeah.
we have to be sure, we have to declare it's not a medical device. We're not making
Yes.
any medical claims. It's
No,
an
no.
automatic switch and a coil. Okay.
Mm.
Now it has some effect, like everything has an effect, and the
Yes.
effect that it has is that it removes nano from the body.
Yes.
Okay, now if you're gonna repair it, you're gonna feel better, etc. It's another story, but it's not a medical device. I'm not making a claim that it's a medical device. It's a pure automatic switch. It's a combination of power supply, automatic switch, and a coil. Okay, now. So many questions. Starting how we can see. Yes, people they can see. Let's say they can find themselves how if they have or not.
Yes.
Extremely simple. Extremely simple.
Yes.
It may require an investment from 2 or 3 pounds or Swiss francs to buy a cheap wine, red wine,
Yep.
to few, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 bucks to buy a handheld microscope. And then, with a wine, red wine, take a sip, wash your mouth with it, and then have a white plate and spit it out. You will see things inside there that have been come out from the gums, which is nanoparticles mainly, assembled nanoparticles, not individual, because you cannot see the individuals, assembles of nanoparticles. And as well, we should not forget that the wine has inside nanoparticles. Because the grapes outside, if there are passing aeroplanes with spray the skies, then it's over there on the grapes as well. But this is a very quick way to somebody to test and see what's happening in his mouth. Then, with a handheld microscope, you can put it even on your telephone. Okay, and I have some of them on my website, and I'm going to put some new as well. And then you check your skin. Check your skin, and you will see immediately. You will see small threads coming out, or you're going to see some crystals, pink, blue, turquoise, green, black. You will see things on your skin, on your fingers, just here, and you will see. If it's raining,
yes,
yeah, UV light as well. If it's raining, take a drop of the rainwater and put it and magnify it and see what is inside. Then UV light, or black light as some they call it. You can find it. I think I sell in my e-shop. You can find it on Amazon, whatever. And then in a dark room, it has to be dark, no light, and flash your body, your skin. You will see things flashing. No, I mean illuminating. These are nanoparticles. And as well, when you're having, for example, your detox bath, nano detox bath, let the water relax. And then again, with off the light in the bathtub, put the light, this UV light, and you will see things floating that they will be shiny. These are nanoparticles that have come out from your body. And if you want, then you can put some cotton on the exit of the where it's going the water, and a couple of coffee filter, paper coffee filter, and let the water go out, but not in a fast pace, slowly. Otherwise, it may take out as well the nanoparticles. And depending what frequencies you're gonna use, you're gonna see different things after a while coming out. You're gonna see mud on the bathtub. You're gonna see, even from the first time, you're gonna see other particles. You may feel as well on your pillow, on your bedsheet. When you are sleeping, the body will take out the particles. You may feel some itchiness after a while because things are coming out. You may get a kind of a pimple because things are trying to come out. And then if you, for example, you break it and you put paper tape, and then you put it on a microscope, you can see as well inside other things. How long we are loaded from decades, okay? As we said. As you mentioned earlier, when you are using the nano devices, or we are doing the salts, the bath without the nano devices, what is the latest that has come in is the one that will come out. Okay, last in is going to be the first out. First in, those the older ones, they are deeper in our body, they have created bigger assemblies and constructions, and this will take time. First we have to clean the upper level, the upper layers, and then the body can help to push it out, origami and other let's say more complicated assemblies. How they look, I have it's already 2 years old, I think, a video, a compilation of photos and videos taken with microscope after using the nano devices, so somebody can see it on my YouTube channel. We can put the links later when we're going to process the video, when we publish the video, so somebody can see what's coming out. But the earliest in, it will be the last out. Yes. And the newer in is going to be the first out.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Some people they may have some time using it, and they will see nothing coming out, or they will not notice. And suddenly, if they are consistent, they will start pop all the time. Others they will see from the very beginning, and as the time is passing, after a year, you're going to see really a lot of things coming out, and bigger things.
Yes.
And the interesting thing is that sometimes you don't even feel a pain. You don't feel that's something. I never have felt a pain. Sometimes a little bit of discomfort, but not a pain. And big constructions that are coming out of the blue. How the body flush it out from the skin, I don't know. Yeah. But I'm happy to see them outside. That part was inside me.
Yeah. Well, baths are amazing for opening up the pores and stuff, aren't they? And the salt bathing, anyway.
Yes.
If you're already doing that, this is going to be a nice segue in, isn't it? And I think I heard years ago that what you've actually created is a safe space, that they kind of almost recognize it. So it's quite safe. What you've created is something that resonates with them where they can be, but then it can just, like, I don't know how to see it. Is there some sort of like metaphor, or, because I wanted to say this, like, this is quite important. Yannis is not only from the distant past of, like, the 300 Spartans, but he's kind of like, he's like the space odyssey of Ulysses going into the future. But it's like we're in some, but it is almost like we're in some, because I almost wanted to ask the question is like this has become so mimetic within our body. This is nothing new. It's like even C.S. Lewis, these Christian people in the past, they had these little battles going on between these visions of these, like, War of the World, H.G. Wells. So it is, and then their rebuttal to the H.G. Wells kind of doomsday version. C.S. Lewis was coming in with this sci-fi trilogy, and they've been, the good people of the past have been trying to warn us of these crazy people that I seen this post you posted today about the AI. It's like, we've opened up these Pandora boxes, and whether some people think it's, I'm sure a lot of these technocratic accelerationists believe that what they're doing is for their God. But the reason that I've leaned into Yannis is because he is under the banner of something holy that has been given to us. We've all been engineered with something amazing. And the remarkable thing is the body's going to be trying to always do the right thing to get this stuff out of the body, because it's not supposed to be there. So if we've got simple, low-tech ideas that we can implement that are simple, then we've got a good chance of trying to get back to something like Ilana calls it in her book, remaining human. And in our mindset here, we're very much solution-based. We're very much, these are strategies that we're implementing. For me personally, trying to learn what the bucket was in the first place. Like, I'm not an engineer. I'm not trained as an engineer, but I had this willingness to learn. And I think I heard a wise man say it. He said the illiterate of the 21st century won't be those that cannot read and write, but will be those that can unlearn, relearn, and learn again. And if I'm able to do this, get in there and learn about it. Tony's always, he's a good human teaching. If you just start with a remedy, like, it was fortunate. I'm not sure if it was Yannis or one of our friends in this community, or a strong community, was like, they found something simple like peracetic acid. And then you can find people in your tradition, if you're in Canada, like what Yannis was saying about the trisodium phosphate. You don't have to do this all the time, but if you look at your tradition, it might be once a year we would do a turpentine therapy. So in everyone who's watching this, you're going to have your traditions where you can bring in these things that your family have always done, like with the herbs and the natural medicine. But now it's looking at bringing in specific technologies that some of you can, you're using your PEMF. Yannis is saying, well, why don't you consider using the triangle before and after? If you're going to use, and so Yannis, one thing, so I looked at what Tony was doing. I started to learn, the importance of analog technology. I started to learn that this was like Tesla technology, and like Alana's book is like how the environment has been weaponized by chemicals, electromagnetism, nanotechnology for synthetic biology. We're looking at the technology, and so obviously as you know, I'm doing a lot of stuff with the antique analog Tesla technology. I'm kind of looking at how I'm to remain human. I see it as the great in the food, the great in the medicine, the great ideas, the great in the technology. You're in that. I think the ideas, I think the mindset's everything as well. I don't want to be wrapped up in, I'm a parasite, the boogeyman and all this stuff.
Definitely.
And so with what I'm doing with the Tesla technology, because I view, I'm seeing he's building these two dual induction coil type things. That's what they look like to me. How do you see what I'm doing with the antique Tesla high frequency? How do you view this within a protocol?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the device that you have, or that you are into it, the ultraviolet Tesla devices, ultra ray, not ultraviolet, violet ray. Oh my God, sorry.
Yeah. No.
Obviously, they have many benefits repairing. In my understanding, you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. Or if I'm right, repairing damage that we have in our body. So for me, it can be part of the Antinano protocol in the repairing phase. So we have the enzymes, we have the minerals, we have, let's say, the nutrients to give the building blocks, but this positive energy as well can help to repair faster damages that they require, that this device they were designed to repair.
Yeah. So from me reading the literature, because when you were talking about the waves on the device and all that, I was able to understand it because they had schools in of high frequency in 1911 in Chicago, in Holland, all over the world. They had schools of high frequency. I think they got rid of high frequency during the war because they said because it's radio technology. They were starting to think, there's espionage, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But what I've got from it is it's a kind of food. They talk about it as a form of food, as a form of energy, like you were saying about the qigong. I always say it's like having, but it doesn't judge you, because a lot of people today are going, I'm a frequency, I'm a Lyme's disease frequency, and a lot of these stupid technologies that I do believe they shouldn't really call themselves rifle machines. They're not radio audio. They're reducing people to this diagnosis. And I say to people, like, if we're going to compartmentalize people and we don't even know what magnetism is, and you're giving your energy again away to someone else, and I'm encouraging people, no, like what Tony says, like, I'm not your guru, I'm not no goofy guru. We want you to empower yourself, So what I say to people is, I'm not here to make any claims. I'm saying, hey, look at this 1900 literature. This was a time where there was no geoengineering. So we can actually say that at this point, there was no geoengineering that I can see at that point. So from where we were talking about with the herbs, if we're looking at the pathology of the body, from me reading the literature, they're certainly incorporating ether into the logic. They're describing the human being as an electromagnetic being. So I see it as a form of magnetic homeopathy. they certainly don't encourage the human. Back to what you were just saying, they don't encourage the human. There's this Jeff Barrett now with this modern device, and he's saying we can use our device for ages. It's better than the antiques. I'm like, even if I had a larger machine, it still said, depending on your unique pathology with what's going on with you. So say someone comes to me and they're like, I have tinnitus going on. Well, then I can look at the literature. I'm not making any claims. I'm looking at the literature. It says ear. It might say to me, use 2 minutes with a light spark, with an insulated ear electrode for this many minutes. It gives guided specifics for individual. It could be for the breathing. It will have specific minutes. It never says, and it looks to me like all the literature is talking about cellular health. So it's like it's giving you something, but it's also taking something away, and it has the ability to restore. So it looks to me like it's a form of food, or that's how I view it. When I don't know if it's because they're talking in a more familiar way, but it looks like what they're trying to do is add a form of action. So where something is at ease, like it's dis-ease, it's a little bit lowered in energy, then they're maybe going, if you add a little bit of this energy, it's just going to give you that something of a supplement just to move things along.
Yeah, exactly. This is how I see it as well. The technology that you are so passionate with it, and I think it's the right one. I'm not going to criticize the new ones, but already I think I heard you saying, and that was my first comment as well when I have seen. I said, okay, come on, they are using LED lights with electronic circuits inside.
Yeah, no, Yannis, I think
Come on.
Yeah, I want to get this across clear. Actually, you're a great example. There are humans that are reverse. So, for example, say there's a Lakhovsky generator, and they've just found it down in Italy. It's come out of the box. Up until this point, maybe people have made it before, and they're trying to guess what it was. Maybe they've made it balanced when it was supposed to be imbalanced. But because we've had original units, then good engineers that have had to. There's Eric P. Dollard. He had to go into the wilds of San Francisco, eat loads of wild food, and unlearn everything that he thought he knew about engineering, so he could really get into this heavy side and Spets and all these old school folks that back in the day were standing for the analog and saying this is where we need to be. And then somewhere down the lines, we've ended up in this disaster of a place where we are with engineering. But he's kind of tried to keep that purity. So I think as a purist, if you're going to reverse engineer something and they're saying, we did it with tungsten, well, then don't do it with zinc. And like you just said about the glass, if the glass is pure glass with just air in it, blown to a specific atmosphere that has the color violet, well, then why are you using a cheap mercury bulb with when we know with the nano? This is what I'm saying to them. If they're using this anomethalaceae that Tony did his little Abbott and Costello, and they're going, I'm a nano whistleblower, and then they're coming in with this bulb, and we're at a point where we're trying to understand if the nano is excited or not excited, and you're then saying this is a Tesla Rudin machine better than the antique. Well, then for it to be better than the antique, it has to be the same as the antique. And then with your engineering expertise, you come in and said, well, I think Tesla was doing this or Lakhovsky was doing this, but I don't quite like it. I want to make this a bit better, but I'm giving you the option to have it the original, but here's my little modification because I think this is a bit better. Then you've made it better. But if you're then coming in going, there's this blue light, I'm looking at the antique going, well, where's the blue light? It's not there.
It's not only that. I mean, as you said, everything is correct. And it's not only that. When somebody's making claims, he has to show the results. Measure it. If we can measure it, then we can see it, we can improve it, or we can discard it, or we can congratulate it. Measure it so. Because you believe so. Because you design something and you think that it's good. Because it's optical nice, or you have nice marketing words. Show the data. Shows that is better. You have the data. You have the history. You have testimonials as well of the people that they are using for a long time. Mine, the new improvements, I have the data. It's measurement, it's trying, it's almost 200 measurements plus to get, let's say, the data. Before, and after. So show the data.
Well, yeah, no. This is good. This is good because what I've always liked about you and Tony is you've been very open source. You're like, if you want to do this yourself, you can do it yourself. So what I noticed with some of these, now there are some excellent reverse engineered modern devices that they boast that it's pure analog. They also make the claim that this is for educational purposes. They want to see it in a university where somebody's doing experiments with plants. They come at it from that, let's do experiments with plants, see how this generates the plant, or if it's adverse to the plant. We want to see these studies. And so what I noticed with some of these modern machines that are coming out now that are actually, unfortunately, they're not using the correct windings, because I was fortunate to realize that I had they were thinking, this is some part of this cult. And I was like, well, actually, it's not. I found it through the Electrotherapy Museum. It was called the H.G. Fisher from 1911. It was this large, robust machine that survived 2 world wars, Yannis. The spark gaps were amazing. Still goes today. We've got all the schematics. A guy called Adrian, kind of similar to what you were saying at the beginning, he built something, not for money, not for gain. He built it, and I was never looking to sell machines either myself. It just happened. God puts you in a funny place where you're doing something you never imagined. But my point being was, he designed it, reverse engineered it, was very honest, put the schematics out. So if you decided you wanted to do it, you could do it. And what I found out recently was some of these modern machines, they've done the wrong windings. Then what's happened is the humans used it, they've got burnt. And then so I thought, well, maybe it was the bulbs. It wasn't the bulbs, it was the incorrect windings. So this brings me to the question then. There are other people out there today that have taken Tony's work. They might have turned it into a little bit of a brand. They're making their own triangles. I've shown some of these people my triangles. They've been more concerned about what my triangle looks like than what it does. So could I ask you then, so have you got to a point where what type of coils can we use? Does the shape and the size of the coil matter? You're now, obviously I've seen a lot of these rodent coils, circular coils. Obviously there was the bucket originally, but we've moved a lot further, the polygons. You've now clearly, since 2014, 16, we're now in 2026, you've settled with the triangle. I know you've covered it a bit just a minute ago, but have you found that the amount of windings that you're doing and all these things really matters? It matters.
Yes, it matters. It matters. It matters. The current that is passing through, which is determined from the resistance of the wire. So if you have, let's say, 100 meters wire, the size 2.5 millimeters square. So that is, I think, 14 Gauss. I don't remember because I'm more familiar to the European, to the metric. This will have this wire. It will have a resistance of approximately 0.7 ohm. How much current it will pass is determined from that. It is the voltage of the power supply, 12 volts or 24 volts or 19 volts, whatever, divided by the resistance. To make it simple, if the resistance of the wire was 1 ohm and you have 12 volts power supply, 12 volts, then the current that will pass from this one ohm is going to be 12. If you had 24 volts power supply, divide by 1 is going to be 24 volts. And that means that the wire has to be different that can support this much current and the heat, of course, it's producing. If the resistance, it was half ohm, and we have 12 volts power supply, divide by 0.5, it's going to be 24 amps. And if we have 24 volts and, volts, and the resistance of the wire, it's 0.5, it's going to be 50 amps that it will be demand from this circuit to come. So the distance and the size of the wire determines then the resistance. And then with the power supply, the voltage of the power supply, it will divide it by the resistance. We know how much current will pass. And what kind, and if it's proper, the size of the wire, or you have to buy maybe a resistance to put in the side. How strong is the current? How strong is the magnetic field? It's 100% related with the current, 10 amps, 8 amps, 60 amps, multiplied by how many turns we have around the field, around on the coil. So let's say the same resistance, the same, everything is the same, and one triangle has half winds than the other, that it has more winds, the one that has more winds is going to be stronger, the magnetic field. The size, let's say if it is like this, like 31, 32 centimeters, its size, versus one that it's 10 centimeters, smaller, assuming that both they have the same number of turns and the same current, the smaller, of course, going to be much thicker, but assuming that everything is the same, simply because the size of the triangle is smaller, it's not going to penetrate too deep. It's going to make a strong field in the surface, very concentrated, but it's not going to go deep. So everything is related. It's depending what is the size that you want to build. The one that I use, it's 100 meters wire, electrical wire, not the speaker wire, which was the silicon. Okay, easy to wrap, but I had an experience that actually one of the in one part it melted. It melted because it was overheated and melt the silicon and then cause short circuit. So I use the electrical wires, which there are, let's say, okay, this one looks like this. I have not finished to put the connectors, but it's solid, but it has better specifications from current and heat. And then it depends how much you need to wrap. It depends the size of your triangle, or if you have a bucket, how big is your bucket. So it depends how many wraps you're going to use. Will work if it's not as good as I make it mine, as not exactly like that. Yes, they're going to work, but they're not going to be optimal all the time. And as I said, when I say optimal, how deep it's going in, how strong is the pulse, and how strong is the pulse will determine how faster we're going to get rid of these materials from our body.
Okay, yeah, so you were saying about this is interesting. So you were saying, so are you doing anything outside of this? Because you've been in this industry for over 30 odd years or so. Are you actually, because obviously Brian 396 came onto the nano panel and everyone else was talking all the benefits of nano, and he came in with the alarm bells ringing, you know.
Correct.
So are you outside of this, are you doing anything to see if you can have any papers written or any studies? What's going on for you? Yeah, I'm just genuinely interested.
Yes. Very good question. So earlier we talked that there are many papers that they prove that nanotechnology is toxic. And somebody may justifiable ask, okay, do we have any papers, peer review, that they show that your nano devices are doing what you claim, they are working as you present it now for 2 hours? The truth is that, yes, the truth is that there is no paper talking about the nano devices. There is no peer review, there is no study that has been done on that. And to do a study, it requires funds. I don't have these funds. But what we have a lot of papers that they're talking about how nanoparticles behaving, how some of them they are behaving inside our body, and old studies, not now, because nanoparticles is not a story now. As I said, 2 days ago, I published a summary of one paper, very good paper, that was talking how it affects the cells, the nanoparticles inside the cells. 2010 publication. I mean, very 16 years already. So we have this type of publications. We have publications from the physics point of view, magnetic fields, electromagnetic fields, how they behave inside the body. And we have as well 16 years or 12 years of experience, worldwide experience, people that they have used their nano devices, homemade nano devices, a little bit different each one of them, but in all geographies and all, they have the same results. So even if we don't have a peer review study, does not mean that something is not working. We have anecdotal, we have the user experience that proves it. Simply, it has not been reviewed from the peers.
Yes.
So from this point of view, we don't have any paper, and it's not a lot of bibliography beside text in the internet and in the blogs, etc. So I have decided, and I did the research, and I have wrote my first book talking about the Antinano devices and the nanoparticles and how they work. It's 21 chapters. Each chapter by itself, it's another book. So it's not everything inside, although it's a lot of pages. But at least I have wrote this book. It's going to be published very soon. It's a matter, let's say, to find the time to start doing the promotion, but going to be within June. And it's called The Invisible Stressors. By the time that you're going to publish the video, maybe I will have as well, I will show you, I will give you the front cover so the people can see how it will be. It's going to be published in different platforms, and of course it can be purchased directly from my website, where I will put as well, although it's not going to be physical, from my website it's going to be only the PDF version, but from Amazon and other sources they can buy as well the paper version if somebody is interested, which puts everything together. The problem, the theory, the practical, what we have found, the protocol, again, high-level protocol, but what we discuss, disengage, etc., etc. And then, of course, all of that is backed up with references. It's designed to address both academics and as well my grandmother, if she wants to read it. So it's cover everybody, but it has references. We don't have, though, any study specifically for the nano devices. I have tried, I have contact here at one university in Switzerland to try, let's say, to see if we can use the lab and how much it's going to cost to do some experiments and validation of some of our thoughts and what we see. But it's at the moment, the amount that they're asking, it's out of my budget, so I cannot do it. But it doesn't matter really.
No.
Someone is really, I mean, always we do something and then we see if it's working or not. Now we have 13, 12 years experience and it's working.
Well, you've actually
not been published does not mean anything.
No, you've actually put it into that's what I mean. It's always the lucre, isn't it? And the fact that you could have just been sat on the idea and never ever made one, right? So the fact that you've actually been doing this and it's been evolving and getting better is the most important thing, and getting more efficient. I think that's what viewers can take from this today. So Yannis, so Yannis, I want to just say, thank you today for taking time out of your industrious schedule to do this. Is there anything further that you'd like to share with our community?
Only one thought, let's say, that no matter how dark it's presented the future and how dark it's going to be, because it's going to be challenging times, definitely going to be challenging times, more than what we have seen so far.
Yes.
At the end, we're going to be, the mankind is going to be the winner. The mankind is going to survive.
Yes.
It's going to be the minority, though. We know it through the history, always the minority is the one that survives. The majority, they follow the trends and they perish. And even if we take it, let's say, if we take the words of Christ in the Bible, even if it's talking about spiritual, but it's exactly the same concept. They say, wide is the road that leads to destruction, and many they will be there, and few only are there in the path that leads to life, because it's difficult and with difficulties, and it's not easy to go there. And the history as well shows that always only few they survive. The humanity, the term humanity, it's minor than mankind. That's why I'm not using it. The humanity, the humans who are minor than the man and women, the creation of God, they will perish. But mankind will survive with the help of God, Christ, the good spiritual forces, because it's a war against mankind, it's a spiritual war as well, we will survive. It does not mean that we will thrive now or we're not going to suffer, but at least we will have our life. We are going through all these processes, doing the triangle, doing the bathing, watching what we put inside. It's not easy, but at least we extend our life longer. And it's important to keep our body in a good shape, because then no matter how spiritual we are, if our body is suffering, automatically for conservation by design, the mind will not going to work properly. It's going to focus to heal the body. So even if we are spiritual and think that we are very spiritual and very religious and whatever, if the body suffers, all the spirituality is gone. We cannot even focus to pray sometimes. So it's important to balance both spiritual good health, but it helps if we have physical good health. As the ancient Greek, they were saying, healthy mind in a healthy body.
Thank you.
It's not, no matter how dark it is, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not the train that's coming, the light of the train that's coming to crush us. I strongly believe that we can be winners. The question, what can I do? I cannot do anything. No, we can do everything, but we have to wake up and realize that we can do everything, and then we will find ways. How Tony came with this idea, how then we try to improve it, how Elana has to spend time and find solutions, how what you are doing you have come. Okay, something wake us.
Oh yeah.
Wake us, something there was but then if we allow ourselves not to be scared from what's coming, not to be terrified, because this is by design as well. The fear.
Yeah.
The Bible says, raise your hands. No, not your hands, your heads. Because, okay, the end is near, but I mean, we have hope.
Yes.
We have hope. And mankind will survive. This is a promise. This is always has happened, this one, in the history. The evil will prevail for a while, but at the end, we're gonna be the winners.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's faith, isn't it? Faith in action. And thank you, Yannis. Yeah, to be fair, it was a lot of pain that's pushed me into this vision, like tears as a father. You know, it's we're the pillars to get our families, and I kind of say a rising tide will lift all ships, and that's why I kind of recommend Alana's books as well, and I'm looking forward to Yannis's book, because these folks that I'm choosing to associate with offer us positive vision for the future, you know, and that's the important thing here is we're not heads in the sand, we're proactive, we're taking action, and we just want to know. Yannis always has said this to me, and I've always ran with it. We're over the enemy lines. It's now the strategies that we implement as we push back, and like it's not just you, it's not just me. There's forces behind us. Even these children in these places that are war torn, they've still got their laughter. There's an unconditional element there. You know, and all this crazy war and stuff going on, and like at least we're under the
human sacrifices.
Yeah. Well, Yannis, I was thinking about it the other day. I thought, man, these people are so stupid. If you don't think they're going to become the angels of something that's holy and beyond all of this, it's all ordained, isn't it? Something's happening, and something great comes out of this last. I genuinely believe it's the last battle. That's why I was saying you're from the distant past. I think you have to have some kind of fortitude in that future that we do actually win this battle. And so,
you know, I have the attitude that when I see the storm, and I know that okay, there's no way. Somehow we have to be through that.
Yeah, the buffalo.
I'm running through the
into the storm. Yeah, the buffalo doesn't run. The buffalo doesn't run away, does it?
It will catch me up. So I will go through it, and I may get hurt, I may be killed, but I may go through it as well.
Yeah, it's everything.
And if I will taken out, at least I will taken out standing, and this is what they hate.
Yeah. Let's go, Yannis.
Exactly. But as you said, and as I said, we are inside the enemy's lines.
Yes.
We are in this war of mankind, so we have to be careful how we operate in order to survive longer. That's why I'm
Yeah.
not making a lot of advertisement. I'm
No.
not talking too much. I'm
No.
doing my work. People that they need it, somehow they finding me, they are coming to me.
Yes.
But I don't try, hey, here I am, put the light on me. Those people, that they have something to offer.
Yeah.
They present that they have something to offer, and they put all the light and nothing happens to them, probably just control opposition.
Yeah.
Anyone who has something to offer is taken away. So,
well, look at the beginning,
I'm
Yannis.
careful.
Yannis, look at the beginning of this. We tried to do a little Facebook stream. It didn't want it to happen for whatever reasons,
Yes,
my friend John would say it's the archons, whatever. And I came away just chuckling to myself, going, "What, little Zeech?" And I choose to be little Zeech. I don't, it's like we're just the few. We're not there. I don't want no limelight. We're not in any limelight. And I genuinely believe if you're under the banner of something like you're just speaking your truth, then the right people just show up. We don't do that. We're not doing this for clicks. We're not any those that have ears to hear.
Yeah. I don't try to raise raise a team, etc. I have, let's say, I have something to offer. Obviously, it seems like, so I'm offering this one. The prices that I have, because they are built here, they have required a lot of designs. It's thought. It's not just copy and paste.
No, you're doing it.
It's pricey comparing to other devices that there are other people that are making, but it's not the same. It's completely different. Not only the design, it's offers something. Everything is calculated. I know why something is there. So when there's a problem, I can find why it's not working.
Yes, and also if someone comes to you and they have, from listening to this today, they may have their own unique size, shape, this, that, and the other. Maybe they're a family, they've got children. They can come to you and they can have a consultation and they can have something tailor-made for them, correct?
Definitely. I can do, let's say, customizations according to the needs. And anyone is welcome. And actually, I will offer a discount code for you and your audience if somebody wants.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have an extra discount, just let's say as thank you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
What we can to help the people, we have to help. Sometimes I even have, let's say, the webinar it's paid webinar that shows how to calculate the electric parts if somebody wants to make his own triangle. Yes. There are a lot of excellent videos to show how to do it mechanically, but all of them, they suffer in the electric part. So I have a webinar that it's paid. It's approximately $80, $90, but the reason is I had answered countless of emails for the same problem. So I was explaining. I created, and then I put a price because unfortunately, many people, all the people, they want free information, but not everybody appreciates it and applies it. So at least if somebody really wants, they are willing to make a small investment that will save them much more, because if the power supply will burn or they have other issues, at least they will know how to do it from beginning correctly. And it's more for that, not for the profit, because if then we calculate what is taken out from the card processing, then until then to come to the bank, what's arriving, it's much less than what somebody will pay. So it's not for the profit, but it's more to ensure that the one who's going to access this information, he's going to value it and he's going to use it for his own benefit or her own benefit.
Yeah, they've got some skin in the game. You need to have some skin in this game, don't you? An investment of energy. And
and I have given a lot of times for free when somebody.
Well, look at this. This is free, isn't it? We're giving to you.
Not only that. I mean, really, that webinar is given for free for someone who really need it. But I knew that going to use it.
Yeah. But also those questions, when you hear them over and over again, and you're addressing those questions, it's worth it, because you save yourself. That's why it's good to have it in historical record, because then people can go back to it and they can. Do they have access to that forever then, Yannis? Do they have access to that forever?
The webinar?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, so and even they can download in a PDF all the slides.
Yeah.
I have it as well as a PDF, and they can download it. Plus, they have like a half an hour free consultation with me if they want to fine tune. And usually, the half an hour is always longer. I never stick on the timer. So if they want to understand better, or if they have faced a problem, always they can reach out to me and I will help them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look. So, Yannis, thank you.
Thank you too, Zeech, for the opportunity. We are together in the same boat. Let's keep mankind going on and fight back. Or it's not fight back. We cannot win this world by ourselves, but at least to maintain our health,
integrity,
to maintain ourselves.
Yeah.
Body and mind.
Yeah, I like the fact that you called it mankind over this. It's actually something quite beautiful about mankind, isn't it? You know,
yeah, it's the race of mankind, and it's interesting that some politicians, I'm not going to say countries and name, but somebody can find it. Even they say, it's forbidden to say mankind. It's humanity.
Oh my God!
And if you look, the legal dictionaries,
yes,
you will see that human, it's below a man.
Wow.
The legal terms, not the classical.
Yeah. The legalese.
Yes, but those that they are speaking by legal terms,
trying to keep us
anyone
down.
who's calling himself human is below the man and the woman. That's why mankind were created a kind of a man, like a kind of an animal, the lion, the zebra, the chimpanzee. It's the man, woman.
Yeah,
mankind.
plural. Yeah, old school. Mankind, and the word kind is in there.
Mankind,
I think the world needs more kindness, right? We need more kindness.
More kindness, the type of man, yes, but yes, definitely. For long time, I'm not calling anymore. I'm not referring to us as humans.
Well,
somebody can be a human and can be, but
here they have the word person as well. People use person a lot, and that is a form of enslavement. It's like, so the words are very much used against us, aren't they, rather than for us? By those that seek to.
And words have meanings and have power. We have to make sure that they are not matter what we think of or why we are using it. If we go now to the legal term, it counts. Like, do you understand? When they say the police, do you understand? It doesn't mean if you comprehend. Why they don't say if you comprehend?
Under.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like I'm not. Yes, and so so there's an element of sovereignty here with us.
Exactly.
With elevating to something greater. Hence, so good. All right, Yannis.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call.
I appreciate it.